Okay, guys, welcome to another episode of the Audio Program Council. This is the Omega Condor. This is Bilth, and this is
Not
Jay
quite.
Bonnie.
Almost.
I tried to think about it too.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to an episode of the Audio Program Council. I'm the Omega Condor. That's Seabass. That's Bilth, and that's JT.
You were
Barney.
wrong. That was so wrong.
Doesn't really matter because my video is the video that's going to be used. Your video is superfluous in this equation. I just need it for the clap.
Lovely.
Oh, he said it. He said it, dude.
Hey, as long as you're recording in 1080p, I don't care whose video we use.
I'm in 1080p, baby cakes.
Alright, I can't wait to tear into Seabass. I've been waiting all friggin' week to tear into Seabastian.
Okay.
This uncultured swine told me the Meg 2 is the best film he's seen all year. And I knew he was doing it to troll me.
No.
I just wanted it to be on, like, record. Forever.
Okay.
I want to come back here and laugh at you.
Let me explain for all you uncultured swines who haven't even gone and watched this film. So, Meg 2. The most entertaining movie I've seen this year so far. It is I liked Meg 1. I thought it was very entertaining. This is like 10 steps above Meg 1. It's not just a shark adventure. Like, they go on an Indiana Jones ocean adventure. And I loved every minute of it. Jason Statham has more one-liners in this film that I have ever heard in my entire life in any film. And they all are amazing. The writing is atrocious. God awful. But the one-liners, whew, amazing. And honestly, the bad script is what makes it. The bad script is what makes it. And I don't know, I think it's one of the better CG looking sharks I've seen in a while. So, how's that going for it? Do I still prefer a practical shark? Yeah, I do, I think. I still prefer a more practical. I've never been a fan of the CG sharks, to be honest. But this one is the best one I've seen so far. And I had a blast. And everyone in that movie theater had a blast watching it. It was just a very take your family to watch a thriller, entertaining type of movie. And I recommend that you should go watch it if you want to have just a little fun. Obviously, it's not to the intellectual level of Oppenheimer. It's not a cinematic masterpiece like Barbie. It is a Jumper type of movie. If you like Jumper, go watch Meg 2. I'm always going to refer to Jumper.
Okay. You're throwing a lot of subjective crap in my face right now. Huge subjective opinions.
I'm just saying.
Subjective analysis. From an objective perspective, is the Meg 2 truly one of the greatest films of this year, of 2023?
Yes.
All right.
So I would say that what happens all the time is that we live in an era where theater entertainment is kind of afraid to just be campy and stupid, and whenever it is, we get people giving way hyperbolic comparisons to the greatest movies ever made because they're so starved of popcorn entertainment.
How you can't compare? In all realism, you can't compare Meg 2 to Oppenheimer. You just can't. That's why I said I equate it more to just a very campy, entertaining film like Jumper.
So then, objectively, it is not the best movie that has come out this year.
I mean,
your name from now on is clickbait.
Some people might think. Some people might think the campy, like Michael over here, thinks campiness is good. So,
Bilth,
you know,
your mic is not picking you up on my end. How
about now?
Yes.
Hello?
Is there a way you can put it on the floor? Can you put it in front of your face? Because it's too far away.
All right.
You're too far away from it.
Yeah.
Let me tighten this and see if I can. Oh, I loosened it. All right.
Listen.
See if I can hold this position.
Oppenheimer, objectively, is an amazing film. And if you want to put in another good film, that's one of the best films out there as well. Like Schindler's List, Inception, all those types of films. The Godfather. Of course, those are one of the best movies of all time. But you cannot compare. Like, so, to some people, a campy film like Sharknado or Meg 2 or something stupidly campy like that, some people think that's the best film they've ever seen. So I objectively, if we want to talk about what objectively is the best film of all time, the only way to do that is to go on IMDb and look at the rankings, I guess.
You think IMDb rankings are objective?
It's the closest thing we have, though, to objective rankings. Everything else is just subjective, or everything else is just more subjective than that. Let me reiterate.
I think this line of discussion is interesting, because how does one truly identify objectively what the greatest film of all time is? That's not the question I was asking. I was just asking about this year, 2023, which we are only 8 months in, 7.5 months into.
Yeah, and if you think about it, not a lot of films have really come out in that span of time, so it wouldn't be a
there's been at least one new movie every month this year.
Okay, it wouldn't be a hot take though to put that movie up there as a favorite.
Didn't Across the Spider-Verse come out
someone...
just like a couple months ago?
Yeah, Across the Spider-Verse came out this year.
You're a doofus.
I'm saying it's entertaining. I'm not saying it's the
You
best
said
film.
verbatim to me.
I said it's the
when
most
I
entertaining
saw
film.
you,
I
the
said it's the
Meg
most
2
entertaining
is
film.
the most entertaining film I've seen this year.
It was. Was Across the Spider-Verse a better film? Leagues better. Not even close. Was
One
the
could
Meg?
say
Was the Meg 2 more
more
entertaining to
entertaining?
me? Yes, it was more entertaining to me.
Okay. This man dressed up as freaking Oppenheimer clone. I would say
Yeah.
you were more entertained by the Barbenheimer event than you were the Meg 2, which you saw
But
probably on a whim.
you can't compare that because the Barbenheimer event was what you're saying it was. It was an
But
event.
it happened this year.
It was a cinematic event.
The most
It
entertaining event.
Fellas,
it was.
Movie.
Fellas, if we could, I have a quote, very applicable, from one of the greatest film critics of all time, Pauline Kael. And in the year of our Lord, 1966, she said, "It's a simple mistake in the arts to assume that anything that moves us must be a masterpiece. That we wouldn't be affected if it weren't great."
Like
And I
Batman
think that that's
and
what's
Adam
happening
West,
right now.
right?
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah,
People
but here
who
we
look
go.
down
The
on
Adam
it.
West movies are not entertaining, so I'm not even gonna get into that argument. Those Adam West films are not You are not gonna sit there, Bonnie, and tell me that when he asks Robin for that anti-shark spray, that you are entertained by that.
That is
You
the
are
only
not
thing
gonna
you bring
sit
up.
there and tell me that right now.
When he is climbing up
You
that
said
wall,
the Cesar Romero Joker is your favorite.
I didn't say that. I said he was the only thing that came good out of those movies was the Cesar Romero
Yes.
Joker. Honestly, all the villains were good. I
they're
appreciate the
going-
villains because they were what they were meant to be in that specific project in that specific time. But do I think Batman and Robin are good in that? Hell no. Hell no.
people still quote that, dude.
I
People
know,
still
because
are like,
it's
holy
stupid.
crikey, Batman.
Iconic.
I know they do, but it's not because they
Iconic,
think
yes.
it's good. It's iconic doesn't mean always good. Iconic means it was iconic. It was
Hey,
a line that
What's the Batman
stuck.
theme?
It meant a
You're
line
starting
that
to
stuck.
sound. You're starting to sound like you wish that culture was prescribed and not described, my dude.
No. I'm talking about for Batman. I do not like Batman iterated as that type of character. I just don't. And we're going to re-talk about this right now. I'm sure we're about to have this conversation again. But I think that Batman, to the soul, deep down, Batman is always supposed to be, to me, that gritty, dark, menacing figure that is waiting around in the shadows in the corner, waiting to just pounce on you, and you can't even, and you don't even notice it. That is the Batman that I love.
That is a Batman in perspective. You're taking the perspective of the criminal. What about perspectives like of his friends, like Green Lantern and stuff? It can be humorous. You just have to see it.
And from what I was telling you earlier, I agree with you. When it's the dry Batman, where the humor sort of comes to him and not from him, then I agree with that. But to our original argument, viewers, we're talking about James Gunn. Do I believe that James Gunn is going to give us that version of Batman? I'm sorry. I love what he did with Guardians 3. I do not think James Gunn will give us that because that's just not his style. He's not the dry humor style. He just isn't. and we've seen it. You've seen the Suicide Squad, campy as hell. Things of
There's
little.
he's
seen
not
Peacemaker?
he's not directing
Peacemaker
the
is-
Batman film.
Peacemaker's
I
fantastic.
know, but he's Kevin Feige in this. You don't think he has? He's writing all of them, though, lad. You don't think he has like complete say of what's gonna go down? He just, by the way, he just fired the director from Brave and the Bold from the Batman
Yeah,
film. He just fired him,
probably
and they're
for that.
recasting the director, whoever that's gonna be. So if you're telling me that James Gunn isn't directing it, fine. I know he's not, but if you can't sit there and tell me he's not gonna have creative say in that whole universe, because he does.
James Gunn
I
directed
just think
Brightburn.
that he exactly
Yeah.
he's got more discretion than I think you're giving him credit for. He's not going to make an entire universe one
I just think
note.
when it comes to the superhero genre for him, it's just the name of the game for him is very campy. And that's his style. I'm not judging it, and I'm not saying it's a bad style. I'm just saying I don't think it's the correct style.
But you're
for Batman.
denying, in these statements, you're denying that James Gunn has range. Because did you see Brightburn?
No. Okay.
'Cause he
Once
has-
again.
I mean,
once
it's not
again,
the best, but it
I'm-
was a good
once
iteration
again,
of evil Superman.
I mean,
Once again.
but the thing is, it's not even Superman. It's not. It's.
I know,
It's literally
it's-
just a kid with Superman. It is a Superman facsimile.
Okay. Once again, I'm talking about James Gunn specifically just in the superhero genre, and specifically being MCU and DC. And what he's done in MCU and DC is what I'm basing it off. Not anything else that he's done outside of that franchise. I
Okay,
don't care.
but
He's a
the thing
lovely
is-
director. He's a lovely director outside of all that. I'm talking about MCU, DC.
Okay, so
But-
what I think in this particular instance is that the Guardians of the Galaxy and the Suicide Squad, which are the superhero films he has directed, which are the superhero films he's directed for Marvel and for DC, those characters lend themselves to being campy and humorous, regardless of their disposition.
Yeah,
When-
those films fit.
Uh,
Those
ex-
films are
so-
correct for being that.
There you go. So
Do you
there
think
must
Batman
be,
should be that?
but who
Ah.
said that's what Batman's going to be?
but he has
Assuming-
range to be.
James Gunn has the range as a director and I believe as a producer to churn out content that does match the tone of what the general audience believes Batman should be. I don't deny that. Now, because of everything that's come out in the last few years, or in the last year alone, in terms of Marvel and DC content, because it's been bad, I have reservations about this. And we covered this last week, in last week's episode, at this point, 2 weeks ago, we covered this. No, last week.
Schedule's a lot.
We covered this last week's episode, that the oversaturation of the market is burning out audiences, myself included. So is it right to be skeptical? I think so. However, I don't think it's right to deny that James Gunn has the capability to create a film that we want to see from Batman.
I also just think going in the direction of going into the Brave and the Bold type of comic, I forget how many comics of Brave and the Bold there are, but there's multiple iterations of Brave and the Bold.
I've only ever seen the Brave and the Bold cartoon show. I've never read the comic.
Okay, so if you look at the comics, it's probably one of the campiest sides of Batman. That
It is-
we-
Well, it's because
a
it's based
brighter
on
tone.
Silver Age Batman, I believe.
I get it. So for us to just insinuate that James Gunn is going to do a similar formula than he did to the MCU is not that far of a stretch, in my opinion.
Well, even
It's
the
all the
Superman he
pieces-
wants to be is
all-
more campy.
Exactly. All the pieces are lining up to be that James Gunn style superhero campy style. And I'm just saying that for Batman, I don't. So for the Brave and the Bold comics, I don't like those ones as much as I like other ones. I just don't, because I just don't like Batman being portrayed as campy. That's why the George Clooney
Well,
movies
honestly,
are terrible.
Sebastian, just like with comics circulation, the way that these movies and this media is being circulated actually is good for Batman fans that only like one flavor, because the Matt Reeves Batman universe is not canceled. The Todd
No, I
Phillips
know.
Joker universe is not canceled. and then they're also doing a Batman in James Gunn's new universe. So they're allowing 3 flavors of Batman to exist at the same time, and I can see that being, common down the road, where if a character demands a different type of thematic flavor, they will be allowed to, make that.
I think that's also going to be a mistake going down the road. I don't think we should have multiple iterations of the same character going on at the same time, in my opinion. It just becomes too much, I think.
I agree.
I mean, maybe, but the way that the Batman established that world, I am excited to see kind of just a standalone Batman saga.
Yeah, me too. That's why I don't think that James Gunn should have started. Obviously, you can't start DC and you can't start JL without Batman. So I get why he has to do that. But I would have just wished maybe that they would have finished whatever they're finishing with Robert Pattinson first before they started getting into the James Gunn universe for Batman.
And we discussed this
they're not
earlier,
clean about that at all.
But I think James Gunn would have been better suited starting with the Justice Society.
Yeah.
Like something obscure, like he's
I do
done
too.
before.
I would have loved more of the JSA.
Barney, we discussed this recently. But yeah, I agree with you. The JSA, establishing the JSA and establishing a history for the DC universe, I think would have been my idea for a Phase 1. At least.
I agree.
And
They
if
should
you
have.
established like a baseline there, maybe a more campier but still dark Batman could exist. It just you just have to establish the world in which it would live first for me to like grasp a hold of it.
Right, your arguments, Sebastian, are making me curious. Do you like the 1989 Tim Burton directed Batman?
I like elements of it. Yes. Let's go with that.
And the elements you don't like, do they fall into the camp distinction?
Yes.
That's very interesting. All right, so by that definition, the Dark Knight trilogy is like your baby. You love it.
I will die for that trilogy. I have consistently said that The Dark Knight is one of the best films of all time, top 3 best films of all time.
I was very surprised that I rewatched the trilogy before Oppenheimer came out, and I was surprised that none of them aged badly, because everyone talked so much crap about Dark Knight Rises, and honestly, it's like, no, as a spectacle piece, it's great!
I have never heard anyone say that those movies have aged badly.
I've only heard Dark Knight Rises
I think it was an excellent pivot.
Yeah, dude, exactly.
Yeah.
It's great.
A lot of people hate on Dark Knight Rises, and I said this the last time, I think in the last episode we talked about, or maybe with you guys at Big Bad, but the more I watch The Dark Knight Rises, the more I like it.
I think he did the best with what he had.
100%.
His original vision probably had a lot more Heath.
Well, I mean, originally so at the end of The Dark Knight Rises, like close to like the climax, when the Scarecrow is the judge in that twisted courtroom, that was supposed to be the Joker.
Yeah.
That was originally written to be Heath Ledger's Joker, but then he unfortunately passed away.
I definitely did know that he was gonna have a big role in that film again. Especially because of the success as well that The Dark Knight came with as well.
I mean, it would have fit so well because you could have showcased Joker at the beginning of the film, and then that could have actually fit so much better with Nightfall, because taking him down would have exhausted him to the point where he couldn't have defended himself against Bane, which broke him.
But I hope they wouldn't have shelved Scarecrow though because of it. That would, because I really like Killian as the Scarecrow. He was my favorite part of Batman Begins.
It's a motif, man. He was using him. He would have been somewhere else.
I would choose Heath over Killian any day.
No, of course. No, of course. I would too, but I don't think Killian's character would have deserved to be shelved though, is my opinion, because I thought, I actually think his Scarecrow is very dynamic.
But they occupy a bit of the same space. Sorry.
So, something I actually really did find interesting, speaking of his character, was that his cameo in The Dark Knight is so campy in comparison to anything else that happens with him. If you guys remember, he's only got a few lines, but one of them is like, he's like, I work alone, I'm perfectly fine. And he's like, not my diagnosis.
Not my diagnosis. Yeah. But no, it's his I actually love that scene that he has with Rachel as they're walking towards Falcone's cell. or jail cell when Falcone's faking that he's schizophrenic or whatever, so that, you know, so he gives him a false diagnosis. That whole scene where that line of dialogue happens, is one of my favorite scenes in Batman Begins, actually. So, I don't think it's very campy though, to be honest. I think it's very thought out, and it's very intellectual, actually. Not saying that campy. Not saying that campy is not intellectual. A different type of intellectual. No. A different type of intellectual.
So a
little bit drier.
To pivot, right. To pivot a little bit into Oppenheimer, because I rewatched it 2 days ago in the cinema, and it was interesting to me.
Has your opinion changed at all?
Yeah, I love it way more than I did the first time.
Interesting.
Like, substantially more, dude. It was a great film. And originally, I looked at certain moments that echoed what he had done in the Dark Knight trilogy with a kind of like, oh, he's filming Oppenheimer suiting up into his iconic pipe and hat like Batman. He's filming it like a superhero. That's silly. And then when I watched the movie again, there was more of a harmony with those moments where it's like, oh my god, he's using like the visual vocabulary that he developed in telling these superhero stories to tell a real life story with, you know, stakes way higher than anything that he had done before, in ways that are actually brilliant. He's using blockbuster language to hammer home these like really important points about recent US history. And there were multiple points where I'm just watching this and all of a sudden, you know, I'm tearing up because the parallels that he draws are so powerful and so true. So yeah, bro, fucking loved it. And I love when he echoes his language from the Dark Knight trilogy in his more recent dramas.
I think that it's one of those things where he never wants to mention just how much fun he had making those films. You know, he keeps that to himself, I think, or pretty close to the chest, where in an interview someone will be like, do you ever miss the Batman films? And or questions of that nature, and he always like skips past them, or he's like, oh, you know, I'm on to the next thing, or whatnot. But deep down inside, he knows that was his you know, his Fifth Symphony. You know, that was his Requiem for a Dream. That was his pinnacle. And he knows it deep down inside, and that's why I agree with what you're saying, where he has a lot of influences in his movies now that just correlate with the stuff that he did in the Dark Knight trilogy.
Oh, of course, yeah. I would say that, to put it in Batman terms, that's his utility belt. Like, a lot of the thematic tricks and especially like character framing that he does in those movies, you can see it in Interstellar, you can see it in Tenet, you can see it in Dunkirk.
Interstellar, baby.
Hey man, Interstellar, Inception as well. Inception's a big one as well.
I mean, that's like, why it's such a...
You think about Interstellar, that came out after the Dark Knight trilogy. So it had there was a lot to live up to there because those films were held in such high regard. We all were on the edge of our seats thinking, "Oh my God, is he going to do it again? Is he going to make another really, really, really great film?"
Interstellar was 2010.
Yes.
2010.
2014. So 2 years after Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah.
2014. Jesus.
Yeah, and Inception was between Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
2010.
Correct.
2010.
That's what I was thinking. Inception was 2010.
Yeah. Dark Knight 2008, Inception 2010, Dark Knight Rises 2012, Interstellar 2014. This dude is at the same studio cranking out movies like
cranking out masterpieces. I just don't understand
the quality.
Dude, The Prestige came out 1 year after Batman Begins. They were barely separated. They came out directly next to each other, and they're
any other director
beautiful.
would have taken them double the time to crank these movies out. I just don't understand how he does it. To be honest, it's incredible. It's incredible. Yeah, it's just incredible to watch. I'm so happy.
I think he might be our first IMAX auteur.
Oh, absolutely.
So this is interesting. I recently rewatched Oppenheimer in the IMAX 70 millimeter film again, and oh my god! But the point, I saw some footage after the fact of him talking to Quentin Tarantino in 2016, when Quentin Tarantino had recently released The Hateful Eight, and he made it a big deal for some reason that it was in 70 millimeter. He wanted to film it in ultra panavision, literally. He took those old cameras and he filmed it like that. And the person that did his DGA Q&A after The Hateful Eight had become nominated was Christopher Nolan. So the DGA conversation is like this whole hour and a half, discussion between the two. And one of the things that Christopher Nolan keeps bringing up is 70 millimeter as a tactic to get back to the theatrical experience. And that was Tarantino's decision. It was his strategy to be like, all right, I gotta get all of these people that love streaming. This is 2016. Netflix is in its prime. It's coming up. It's brand new. Every other company is struggling to keep up with streaming. And in this moment, he makes The Hateful Eight, and even though it's a film that takes place in primarily one location with a very consistent cast of characters, almost like a stage play, he decides to film it in this very cinematic format. And Christopher Nolan is almost giddy in how he's talking to Tarantino about like, oh yeah, you did that to revive the theatrical experience. Oh, very interesting. Oh, I enjoy how far the reach of the roadshow is. He's developing more equipment. He's developing more means of distribution than 70 millimeter has seen since the 1980s. And now he's gone and done it himself, and he's done it every year since The Hateful Eight has come out, where he's dedicated to that 70 millimeter experience. And to me, it's not so much the fact that it's 70 millimeter, it's the fact that he cares so much about bringing people into the theater, and I think that that's beautiful.
Do you think that he drew inspiration from people like Peter Jackson and James Cameron and all these directors?
Undoubtedly.
That deal with IMAX cameras as well, and that are really big in shooting in IMAX.
I think that the difference is that for those people, they
especially
were doing it
Peter
in an
Jackson,
age...
especially Peter
Right.
Jackson, I think.
Completely, but I would argue that Peter Jackson's decade, like the 2000s, were kind of the last bastion of default American blockbusters. If you're making a blockbuster, it's going to, by default, be a huge deal culturally. Whereas in the 2010s, you get this media, things are getting diluted. There's a lot of places that your attention is being funneled towards. And with Christopher Nolan and Tarantino in particular, they were filmmakers that, whereas Peter Jackson, it was a given you were going to watch the Lord of the Rings trilogy every time that they hit theaters. With Christopher Nolan and Quentin Tarantino, it was a very conscious, people are leaving, what are we going to do? And that's where they've come from.
It's funny,
and
too.
I think it's been really
I think
interesting.
one of the most underrated movies ever is Peter Jackson's King Kong. If I'm going to be honest,
I
think that movie is
completely agree.
fantastic.
So you're arguing against camp, but you liked that film?
That movie is not camp. What about that movie is camp?
He cast Jack Black in one
and
of the
Jack
primary
Black,
roles,
what did Jack Black play? A very dramatic role. Probably one of his most dramatic roles in that film.
And the final fucking line of
talking
that
about?
movie, it is the super campiest line I've ever heard in my life. It was beauty what really killed the beast.
But that's a you have to include that line because that's the most famous King Kong line. You have to include that. It's always beauty killed the beast. Always.
But it's an ironic, campy interpretation.
No, I get it, but
of
you're
it.
comparing camp to ultra camp to the Adam West Batman. It's not even close.
You want a way to take the camp away?
King
Put
Kong,
it on his fucking movie.
King Kong is a dramatic movie at heart, and you know this. King Kong Skull Island is a dramatic movie.
Here's the thing. Something can be camp without being silly. Adam West Batman is so camp that it's silly. King Kong is camp, and that services the film and the story, which is where I think this new James Gunn Batman could be successful. The Brave and the Bold series could be very successful because it can be camp without, because look at the Brave and the Bold cartoon. it's very camp, but it was not ever silly. It was still very Batman.
You misunderstand me. I want that. I want that. I want it to be, the camp is fine, and I want it to not be silly.
But
the
you're-
part
I
that
keep coming back.
The part
But
that
the
I don't want
Peacemaker-
it to be, I hate that show.
It's
I hate
the
that
Peacemaker's
show.
a good example. I'm not talking about one for one, but the
right.
costume settings, like you give Batman his like old-fashioned crest, his dark or like light gray suit, his
Like the dark blue
cape.
Yeah.
The dark blue cowl and the cape.
You
Yeah,
give him his campy setup.
it's
You give
fine.
him the old '60s Batmobile, the sleek little fucking.
That's fine. I just don't want it
Convertible.
to cross. I just don't want it to
Thank you.
cross the line of Batman and Robin of George Clooney. There's a line.
It's not gonna. It's not gonna be like Batman Visa card.
Yeah,
I
please.
think we
please.
Can we please agree? James Gunn and Joel Schumacher, when it comes to directing superhero films, James Gunn and Joel Schumacher are not on the same level.
No,
You're right.
Not at all.
You're right. You're right.
So
That I will agree with.
I think we should have a little more faith in James Gunn when it comes to.
But it's like a lot of the faith gets broken for me too with all the stuff that I guess we can segue onto this. All the bad stuff that's going on in behind the scenes of DC right now. Like people dropping out left and right. James Gunn saying they're gonna include this character, and then the next day it's like no, never mind. And then the next day it's like things like that. Gal Gadot said in an interview that she was gonna
Sebastian, Warner Brothers.
yeah,
is
Warner Brothers.
A mess.
Yeah,
They're
100%.
a mess
Warner
right
Brothers
now.
has been a mess since 2017.
I blame
Yeah,
James Gunn.
they were
I blame
bought,
James
man.
Gunn. I blame James Gunn, but I blame Warner Brothers more. I do. I blame
Dude,
Warner
I'm-
Brothers more.
yeah.
Like
Warner Brothers is
Warner
nothing
Brothers
right now.
Discovery was the stupidest thing they ever did. The stupidest
That's-
thing they ever did.
That's
And,
what I'm saying, bro.
100%. And I agree with you 100%.
What they're trying to do is they're trying to get out of if the deal does go through of you paying royalties, having you paying some sort of dues for having stuff on your stream, they're trying to go the most cheap route. They're adopting a lot of like if you go on Max right now, there's a lot of just like all of what's coming out new is just reality TV bullshit.
Well, see, that's the crazy part. It's not even the fact that they're like refocusing to producing cheap stuff. It's that the corporate umbrella has gotten so wide that it now includes a bunch of cheap reality TV stacked on top of these new releases that among them My Adventures with Superman, a primetime animated throwback to like 90s Saturday morning cartoons.
Can I just
And it's
say,
good.
Oh my-
I watched
And it's
the
good.
most recent 2 episodes, the one that came out last week and this. I just
Uh-huh.
watched those. Oh my god, it's just so good. It
is
just,
I'm
really
finally
good.
caught up.
But
I
it
love
is.
it.
But
It
once
is
again,
so good.
it's overshadowed by that controversy. It's overshadowed
Well,
by
yeah.
It's overshadowed by that stupid
Not-
Lois Lane line. The
Which-
the
No,
interaction
so-
between
so-
them two.
So
No.
this is one of my so this is one of the topics I had in the document. The Lois Lane controversy I thought was very interesting after watching all the episodes in context, because once you get through it, how much time is dedicated to her being wary of him for that? 10 minutes, maybe.
10 minutes.
Also,
like nothing.
a lot of people are equating Lois Lane in this show to Amber from Invincible, which is not correct. It is
No.
No,
It is not
no.
correct.
Who thinks that? Who thinks that?
There are a lot of
bunch of
people
Twitter
there's
people.
a subsect of internet trolls.
There
Weird.
are a lot of people. There is a corner of the internet that equates Lois Lane's reaction to Clark lying to her to Amber's reaction to Mark
Got it.
lying to her.
Got it.
And that is what that's what's been blowing up about this controversy, because it's not controversy. Because
if I'm
Lois,
so-
because Lois isn't in the wrong, and she's not in the right, but she's not in the wrong either. And she confronts Clark about it instead of Amber just hiding the. Because here's the thing: in Invincible, Amber hides the fact that she has found out for weeks. She says, "I found out weeks ago. I'm not stupid."
Yes.
But she didn't confront him about it, and then when he was finally ready to tell her, she showed no empathy towards his situation, and because whereas Lois confronted him about it and then forced his hand to reveal his identity, and that's what she was upset about. And then and she forgives him, not because she watches his dad beat the shit out of him like in Invincible, because because Mark and Amber are friggin' toxic, and we will talk about Invincible more. I hate Amber with a fiery passion.
too.
I think she is
Me
the
too.
worst character in that show because of how she is written.
But I'm going to be quite honest, though. I agree with Clark. I don't think he doesn't have to. I don't think he has. I don't think he should tell Lois who his real identity is if he doesn't want to. I'm sorry.
No, but
I just don't think he.
And that's the thing. He had very valid reasons to
100%.
not trust her with
That's
that
his
information.
business.
It's his business, but also
It's his business.
She's because he's discouraged from telling her because
His body, his choice.
Well, he's discouraged from because he came to the conclusion
sorry.
in episode 3 that he wanted to tell her.
Yeah.
And then she's like, "Oh, Superman, it's all his fault. I want to expose all his secrets." And he's like,
Yeah.
maybe I shouldn't tell her."
I'm on Clark's. I really am on Clark's side for this argument. Fully.
But the thing is also
Okay, but see,
because
me too, and that's why the media literacy part of this argument on the internet is very interesting because, to your point, Reeves, Amber, not a well-written character,
No.
and it seems like this little tiny plot point, which, like I said, it covers maybe 10 minutes of the actual show, was blown up, and this character was blamed for the transgressions of another character from a completely separate superhero show. I don't think that the sins of the Amber storyline and Lois Lane's characterization in this show are connected at all.
It's
But for some
because-
reason, these Twitter people, that's where they went.
it's also because they're both women of color who are angry, who are upset about being lied to. And
That's an interesting
I think the internet trolls also have issue. Like, there are a lot of people out there who have trouble accepting or trouble liking, because I like Lois Lane in this show.
Me
I
too.
like how tenacious she is. She's not like a damsel in distress. She has agency, and that's the beautiful part of Lois
But
Lane's character.
Lois Lane was never a damsel in distress, though, to be quite honest.
I would say like prime Lois Lane, maybe like the first iterations of Lois Lane in golden age and silver age of comic books. I think she was more of just like the focus, like the love interest of Superman. I mean, then again, it's been so long since I've even looked at that material, so I could be wrong.
I just am
her-
appreciative that they actually writ a character for Jimmy. He's actually
And the thing is,
kind of being
Jimmy,
fleshed out.
Jimmy
I finally
is how
care
I
about
wish-
Jimmy. I finally care about Jimmy.
Jimmy, to that point, Jimmy is how I wish Amber was written, because Jimmy says, Clark,
I know about it for weeks. I'm not dumb. I just didn't care.
He's like,
You tell me when you're ready.
You tell me when you're ready. And I wish that was what Amber's reaction was for Mark, but no, she's not emotionally mature enough.
But also, it's
Well,
harder
to be
though
fair,
because
she's a
you
romantic.
can't compare. Yeah, you can't compare friendships with romantic interests.
Exactly. She's
Yeah.
romantic and he's a
Yeah,
friend.
yeah, it's different.
And
in that
he's a
sense.
dude, man. Like,
Yeah.
if one of you was a superhero, you know
Superman,
exactly how we
Superman
all
could
react.
be
Okay, but
gay,
Jimmy
Michael.
also-
Superman could be gay.
Jimmy also feels a little bit gay-coded in this show.
He does.
He does. So, like, even if they did explore that, which they obviously aren't, because they're very much fleshing out the romance between Clark and Lois.
Either way, I think this controversy has done a disservice to the show because it is such a good show.
I had a thing that I want to try. So intermission a little bit. I want to go to our personal lives really quick. And I have like a personal icebreaker question that I think it would be cool if we all answered it in a round to be like a
Because
nice
we
little
want to
like,
try
intermission.
off-brand things too.
Oh,
Go.
Yeah, yeah.
go on.
So my current question is so tracing your entire personal history, was there ever a moment or, a span of time where you wore an outfit with cartoon character like consistency? What was the outfit? When was that
Seabass,
time?
you just bought that hoodie. That
Oh.
doesn't count.
Yeah, that doesn't count.
Yes. I even now, like my work clothes, I have 6 of the same work shirt, one for every day of the week, and one for emergencies on laundry day. But back in
Okay.
high school, I had like several of the same pairs of jeans, and then I had like the same V-neck in different colors. Like I had one that was white, black, and gray striped, and then one that was black and gray striped that were very much the same. I had baseball tees, one that was like blue and gray, one that was like red and gray, that were the same shirt, just color swaps. I literally, like, my wardrobe was like cartoonishly consistent.
I'm not even going to attempt to go into my closet right now and count the amount of Star Wars shirts I have and Star Wars graphic t-shirts that I have.
We're not asking about graphic tees. We're asking about your wardrobe that you wear.
All right, I'll take this one next if you don't mind, Condor.
Go for it.
So when I was in high school, there was a longer time than I'd like to reveal, but it would be Chucks, very big jeans. People called them Jinko jeans, and a hoodie, usually black.
But I also feel like we all went through different styles, though, depending on what period you went through in school, you know?
But, okay, like...
Cartoonishly, I would wear this every day.
We're literally saying, like in Ed, Edd n Eddy, how the...
I love that mental
how they have the same outfit every time.
Yeah, and like they literally, like, if you look in Double D's closet, he has the same hat for every day of the week.
Yes. No, I wasn't like that.
Dark colored jeans, black hoodie.
I was not like that. I definitely diversified my outfit a lot.
That was a point in my life I did not have a lot of prospects.
Even in elementary school, my granddad used to work for the city of Atlanta, like the water plant, and he always had like got these like plain gray T-shirts with the city of Atlanta water logo on it, and he was like, "Here you go," and I would just have them, and I literally had like 15 of these shirts in my closet. And one girl, oh my god, her name was Nicole. I'm using her real name, Nicole. You freaking bully. No,
just not a last name.
This girl broke Condor's heart.
No, she didn't. Oh god, no, she didn't. No, Nicole one day was like, "Why do you wear the same shirt every day? Are you poor?" And I was like, "No, I actually..." And before she even let me answer, she's like, "Don't talk to me, poor." Didn't even say it.
She called you. She used poor as a noun?
Yeah. We were 10 years old, so yeah.
Get off me, poor.
Don't talk to me, poor.
Pardon me, poor. I don't speak to y'all.
That's gonna be my new smash insult whenever I'm just trouncing you. It's just get off me, poor.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah.
You get
using personal trauma for your own benefit.
I had very much a cartoonish.
I mean, do school uniforms count? Because I had to wear those a lot.
I had to wear a school uniform in middle school as well.
Do little robes count? Because that's what I had, a little robe for each day.
You did not go to
little
Hogwarts.
Little uniform.
You went
to
Hogwarts?
Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, where I majored in. I wanted to become an aura when I was older, so you know I went in and took potions class. I mean, I can't help it.
Harry Potter is a jock who became a cop.
They call me Half-Blood Prince.
What was your cartoonishly consistent outfit, Sebastian?
It was definitely like a button-up, the uniform, a button-up T-shirt, trousers, Oxford shoes, tie, and yeah.
You know what's interesting?
And sometimes a pullover.
That sounds great. I dressed up like that because I loved the way that European private school.
Because you like the
kids
aesthetic.
looked.
You like that aesthetic.
I loved it when I was like 16 to 18. I was obsessed with it, and I wore it all the time. And I remember there was a time when I was granted a favor by one of my college's like education employees because I was wearing a uniform that was similar to her New England prep school. And she wanted to do this favor for me because I was wearing a tie with a sweater over it, and that's what they had to wear.
Do you know what's actually really funny talking about clothes? What made a cultural impact in uniforms is when Harry Potter came out, and then everyone in the UK started like slacking off their tie. unbuttoning like the top button of their shirt, or like untucking their t-shirt a little bit over their trousers, like trying to do little things that made the like school uniform outfit look cool. And that just took off after Harry Potter came out, because all the kids did it in the films, right? And that was very, very interesting to see, because at the beginning, before those films came out, everyone was like tucked in. You can't even unbutton your last like top button. But now it's like, oh yeah, we can pop the collar a little bit. We can slacken the tie, you know? I think that's really fun.
Yeah.
How would they punish you? Did they do the ruler across the knuckles, or is that true?
Yeah, the meter stick. You get a nice little whack.
Wow, that was still during your time. Do they still do that?
Absolutely. No, not. I'm sure not anymore.
Yeah.
Maybe more in the more rural areas, maybe.
I remember my mom would tell me about her piano lessons when she was a kid, and every time she would mess up, her teacher would just right on her knuckles. She's like get a note wrong in a scale or something. And when she was teaching me piano when I was younger, like teaching me scales, she's like, just be thankful you didn't have my piano teacher, because I got hit on the knuckles with a ruler a lot.
Hey, a ruler whack was not unheard of.
Wow.
Not unheard of.
Damn.
They even took us down into the chokey. No, I'm kidding.
The chokey, not the chokey.
No, it's time to come to the chokey, lad.
And then, they bring you this massive chocolate cake.
All right,
my example of this phenomena. When I was in middle school, all right, I know that I'm very confident and cool right now, so this may seem very weird to hear. But in middle school, I was kind of a social pariah, where, like Jimmy Olsen, like we were talking about, I grew up in an area that was very athletic. So if you didn't adhere to, the normal activities of sports and being tan and good looking and going to the beach all the time, then you didn't have a place in the place that I grew up. So there was a time in middle school from about the middle of 7th grade when I got this as a Christmas present to the beginning of high school when it became too hot to keep wearing it. I had a jacket. And this jacket was a birthday present when I was in 7th grade. And it was a vintage Green Bay Packers jacket that had
the Letterman
the
jacket?
old logo.
Bonnie's heart is screaming with excitement right now.
No, we already connected on this. So me and Barney are both hardcore Green Bay Packer fans.
She says, baby!
Go Pack Go!
You don't even watch them, Michael.
No, I do, because my family, white family, who are not Persian, my white family are from Wisconsin. So I've been a Packers fan since the day I was born. I was born on the day of the NFC Championship that led them to their first Super Bowl win since Super Bowl II. So I'm a pretty hardcore Packers fan. I only care about them. I don't care about football. Anyway, I had this jacket that was a Christmas present to me, and it was this vintage Packers jacket with the green and the gold and the old logo and, just the name Packers and like meat printing font, basically. I wore this baggy, hoodie, zipped up thing for 3 straight years. I did not go to school if I did not have this jacket over me. I wore it for 3 straight years. And the one thing that got me out of it was watching that British TV show, The In-Betweeners. And they all had these private school uniforms on. And I thought that was awesome. So I went to the thrift store, I got some ties, I got some button-ups, and I got some sweaters.
And you took that Green Bay Packer jacket and you bunned it.
No, I have it to this day, and it is
never
disgusting.
To be burned.
It is
to be turned into a pillow.
Yes,
made into a shrine.
It is straight heirloom. So much of my DNA is on that you could clone me with it if I was dead. Like, literally. It is terrible. Oh my god, the sleeves are solid with snot.
What were you doing with this jacket?
Yeah.
What were you doing?
I want to know. Yeah.
What has caused it to become such a biohazard?
I lived in this jacket, dude. I literally lived in it. Like, I was in Southern California with pale forearms. Do you know how hard that is?
This jacket causes higher radioactive levels than Chernobyl did.
I still have it to this very day, and it doesn't smell anymore, and it's fine. But I wore this shit for 3.5 years solidly because it was a comfort.
Damn.
Can we please talk really quickly about going back to the whole Warner Brothers thing? Just one more point about how Blue Beetle has come out and it is doing atrocious at the box office right now. Atrocious, like I told you it would. Because
hey guys, unrelated. Do you guys want to see Blue Beetle tomorrow?
I can't.
What's tomorrow?
Saturday.
I can't. I have a date tonight. Tomorrow night.
I have D&D tomorrow.
Actually, both. We'll talk offline.
All right, cool. Sounds good.
Remember on a episode 2 episodes ago, I told you guys that the exclusion of Blue Beetle being in the new DCEU is not gonna allow the film to generate the attention that it deserves. And I
think it's too derivative.
I think that's exactly what's happening. There's a whole Twitter feed of people snapping shots of the movie theater and the theaters where Blue Beetle is playing, and nobody is there watching it.
I really want that popcorn bucket though.
No, the helmet.
There's
the helmet.
No, there's a Blue Beetle popcorn bucket, and it's the scarab, and the scarab like wing flaps open up, and the popcorn's inside.
That's pretty cool.
Oh.
And then they give you a little strap, and it can become a little like hardcover purse.
All right,
That's
to all of
amazing.
you theater owners listening,
Can we talk
trick
about
is to have
how
the
James
badass
Gunn?
popcorn bucket.
Can we talk about how James Gunn sabotaged that film with a mere?
He didn't sabotage it.
I would
It was
say
just
that
bad.
superhero fatigue in general, not that it's just bad. I would say that superhero.
It would have been good had it not been for Venom, Upgrade, so many of the different things where so many things is hijacking my body. Oh my god.
So
It's left me. I need to
this
get
is a
angry.
reoccurring theme.
I agree with that, but if James Gunn had announced that this film was going to be the beginning of the new DCEU, people would have turned up to see how it would have begun.
Of
100%.
course, but this is a
Exactly.
recurring theme with these superhero movies. If you have the health of a fictional universe attached to multiple film releases, you are going to diminish the individual quality of these stories, and that is an indisputable fact. The fact that this film is connected to such a wide ecosystem of IP,
But that's the
is
thing,
the
though.
exact reason that it's doomed,
not.
you know?
It's not, though. Being connected. It's not. It's just a solo project. That's it now. We're not going to see this character again.
I don't believe that. I think that everything that was produced under DC in the past few years was under a metaphorical umbrella. Batgirl was under the same umbrella as the Flash, but the Flash got saved and Blue Beetle got saved. They are getting legitimate theatrical releases, which, considering what happened to Batgirl, is a blessing. Like, thank God that this movie actually got a theatrical
But I also
release.
think we're entering a medium, though, Bilth, where when we're dealing with franchises specifically, that if you are not interconnecting these films with other films, people lose interest really quick. Like, standalone superhero films do not survive anymore, is
That's
what I'm
not
saying.
true.
I would say that is completely false. The Joker won Academy Awards and was a weird
Joker,
box office hit.
The Joker, I think, is an enigma, but it's...
And then the Batman, which wasn't connected to any previous universe,
what do you mean?
somehow
That's
was
the Reeves.
critically and commercially
What do you mean?
successful.
That is going to be a universe. That's the Matt Reeves
it's not.
universe. Yes, it
No,
is, 'cause
exactly,
we're getting
the Matt
another
Reeves-
one.
It's an Elseworld
No, but that-
story.
So it's exactly, but there's still
It's
they're
not
gonna be
connected to the
interconnected
DC
story.
universe.
I'm not saying connected into the DC universe. I'm saying that movies,
multiverse.
superhero. I know. I'm saying superhero movies that are interconnected with other movies in their own universe is what's drawing the attention, and superhero movies that are just standalone, not connected to a single other universe or any other storyline, don't survive.
Just watching Condor's brain melt.
They don't.
Okay, man. Honestly,
and with the Joker,
attitude,
the Joker survives because it's interconnected to Matt Reeves' universe, kind of, but not really. But it also survives because it's Joaquin Phoenix's performance that makes it survive.
all right,
and
completely
that's-
true. But that's what a movie is. Do you get it? Like,
I
when
get
it
that.
comes to these individual
Okay,
things,
name
that have a whole.
an
He's
individual
trying to.
superhero movie
He's
that
trying
survives.
to. He's trying to.
I'm not talking about individual. First of all, Joker. I'm not talking individual. I am talking about film in general. Barbie and Oppenheimer.
I'm not
were a
talking about film in general.
phenomenon.
I wasn't.
What are you talking about?
I'm just talking about superhero. I was just talking about superhero movies.
So
That's what I was.
Seabass's point is that the films that are interconnected with one another and have potential for crossover, those have a more inherent box office draw because it's easier to get invested in something that will have an eventual payoff like a crossover.
Thank you.
No, yeah,
So
I
that's the argument he's
I'm
making.
aware
with-
that is what your position is, my friend.
And that is why Blue Beetle is dying. Do you see Blue Beetle? It's generating zero interest right now, because James Gunn came out and said this isn't gonna be part of my DCEU universe.
I don't think
so. Where
that's
does
it,
it go
though.
from there?
I don't think that's it. I think it didn't generate enough attention for its opening box office weekend because
got good
of the
ratings.
fact- no, it did not. In its
No, it didn't.
It's in
Really?
its preview.
It did a little bit. It's got a C. It's got a
did not.
C plus average.
It's
That's
C+.
pretty good for a
It's-
superhero film.
No.
not in this day and age. C plus would have been good back in the
I
day.
feel
in
like
early
superhero
2000s.
movies are more inherently like trash.
C plus for Marvel was Quantumania.
Yes.
Yeah, that
C
movie
plus-
is bad.
C plus is the first X-Men movie.
I'm talking about for Marvel. That's for Fox.
I completely agree with that statement.
So,
And then they
because
get
back
Fs.
then, when superhero movies weren't being taken as seriously, a movie that was, that was
back-
like the amazing thing. But now that we have higher standards for superhero films, C plus doesn't cut it.
Back to my original point, though. If James Gunn had come out and said that this movie was going to be a part of his DCEU franchise and it was going to be the first story in it, I guarantee you, I would bet my life on it that the box office numbers right now would be a lot higher than they are right now. Guarantee it.
I do agree with that. I think that James Gunn's decision on a corporate level actually was like a death knell for this movie.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. He sabotaged it.
But also, it did not get good ratings.
Yeah, also that though.
Okay, but also, I mean, I've been seeing some of the reviews, and they are more complicated than we're letting on here. The reviews
There
are
are a lot of nitpicky
Because
reviews.
I've
but a lot
seen
of them
some
come
I've
down
seen
to
some good
it's a
reviews.
there are.
No,
there-
that's what I'm saying. Like this seems like an actually competent movie that was made under extremely effed up, to put it lightly, studio circumstances.
Yes. I agree with that.
It all comes down to if you like to support the lead actors of that movie, go see it.
I don't-
It's
See,
probably
that's
gonna
what
be
I'm
a good
saying.
Superman movie, or
I-
a superhero movie.
The
really
lead actor of that movie, I love. I
Yes,
think that
I
he
think
deserves
he's
to be a
amazing.
star.
Same.
I think he deserves to be a star. I am so excited that he got cast as a superhero, and I cannot believe the unfortunate timing.
The timing is awful, and I equate that to feeling bad for the girl that plays Supergirl in the Flash.
See, it's exact same
it's,
thing, dude.
It's the exact same scenario. They deserve to come out and do more iterations of these characters, but unfortunately they won't. So
In addition to the cyborg actor Ray Fisher, who was in Joss Whedon and then Zack Snyder's Justice League. Oh my God, bro!
Ray
The
Fisher
way
will
that
never
these
be in
young
another
actors
DC
got
film
screwed.
ever again.
Also an AMDA graduate.
Sasha Cal as well. Yes,
Abda, what's
So
that?
Sasha
What's
Cal,
Amber?
right? Yeah. What is Amber?
Sasha Cal and Ray Fisher, both AMDA graduates.
And Ray
Oh.
Fisher is now blackballed because he spoke out against,
Yep.
which is super messed up.
Super. The most messed up.
It's super
Especially
messed up that
since
he
Joss Whedon
successfully
got
blacklisted. Exactly, he successfully blacklisted a Hollywood icon, and now he's blacklisted
And now
as
he's-
well.
That doesn't
I
make any
mean-
sense.
I mean, the same. It's not
None
the
at
same
all.
argument, but it is a similar situation with Johnny Depp for Jack Sparrow. You know,
But Warner Brothers wanted to bring him back. He's the one who decided not to come back.
he
No,
has.
yeah,
I
he's
have
like, "I'm
seen.
not
I
coming
have seen an article though where he has said that he would be open to coming back again now, but he switched his
Yeah,
stance
but
again.
didn't they also unblacklist him?
I hope so.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they did, because after the trial, they were like, "Oh wait, sorry, Johnny, please come back. Here's $3 million." Or whatever.
here's your
To be
advertisements
honest, to
back.
be honest,
Arbitrary millions of dollars they offered him, but
and Condor, to be honest, I don't know if I completely agree with what you're saying. I see a superhero movie, and if I see 6.9 out of 10 or 77% on Rotten Tomatoes, I think that's okay. I
have
think
to
that's
see-
pretty good,
I have to see the movie for myself.
right? Since when is
Because I-
77% on Rotten Tomatoes not a watchable film?
Okay,
I mean,
I
if
mean,
you've got,
you and me-
but look at what
you
else
and
is in the
me-
theaters. You've got Meg 2, TMNT. There are so many better options. If you want a better superhero movie, it's probably Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, in my opinion.
That's why
Having
it's not
seen the
making a lot of money.
And you've got the Meg 2, which Seabass has
Hey.
already said this
I
is
just-
one of the best movies of the year.
72% Meg 2
I
left.
stand by my point that I already said, where we are starved of certain kinds of content, and when we get that content, like a musical or like a campy shark movie, we get really excited. That makes sense. There's not enough variety in the AAA releasing schedule as it currently stands.
The thing is also, Blue Beetle is a character that's very like near and dear to my heart. I love Blue Beetle. I think he's one of the coolest DC heroes, like one of, like probably top. He's definitely in my top 10 DC superheroes.
I'm sad too because they made such a cool costume for him.
Dude,
For this film.
The fact that they did a practical costume.
Yeah, that's
Oh
great.
my god, it looks
The costume is
amazing.
perfect. The costume is perfect. It is.
And the cast one of the best like stunt / pathos actors of this generation
That
to play
guy-
that role.
Why don't I know his name?
It's Exo
Zolo.
Elo. How do you say this name?
Zolo, I'm pretty sure.
Zolo?
Maraduena. Maraduena.
Do you know a little bit of backstory to this Bonnie? He's actually really good. That actor's really good friends with Soups.
Yeah, Zolo
And-
Mariduena.
Yeah, and he brought
Duena.
Soups out. He brought Soups out to the event to cover it personally. He brought Soups out because they are both obviously men of Latin background, and they are really good friends growing up. And he's been like Soups. If you follow Soups, he's been covering Blue Beetle like a mother in everything, in TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. Like he has been almost exclusively only talking about Blue Beetle this past like month.
Like this kid
So-
is Jaime Reyes. Like
Yeah.
just like they
Yes.
cast him perfectly.
Yeah, he's
Exactly.
Amazing, I'm sure.
That's why I'm so like disgruntled by the news of the film itself, because he deserves this, dude. He
Yeah.
deserves it so hard. Like he is
And-
such a charismatic actor.
Do you know what
And
even makes it
stunt
more
performer.
heartbreaking, Bilth? Is that he was probably promised, depending on how the movie did, obviously, multiple iterations of his character being involved in the new DC universe until they said, nope, not the direction we're going in anymore.
I very much hope that they reconsider their stance, because this guy is a phenomenal protagonist.
Either that or
He's
they'll
got
just do
all
it.
the heart. He's got all the zip. He is such a underdog, dude. He's so good at playing that underdog. I really hope that
I mean, I wouldn't be
he faces
surprised.
some
They
redemption
change
for
their
this.
decision every week on things, so I wouldn't be surprised.
I only see one way out of this, and it's DC has to cut Marvel off at the direction they're heading in, and they have to initiate a crisis event to pull the best little pieces from every universe they got, to pull them together, solve the crisis, and then, well, we gotta live on this one Earth now.
I wish they would never do something so selective.
Well,
honestly.
also the issue is if they attempted a crisis on Infinite Earths type movie, if they tried
No. So they're different prices levels.
Yeah. But like, if they did a crossover, another crossover movie that soon, it would be terrible. It would actually be awful.
I agree. I agree with that.
The Flash is awful.
It's too soon. It's too soon. There's no like character development from any character. It would just be a terrible movie.
I didn't even watch The
but that's what I'm
Flash,
saying.
and I think it's terrible.
It was not great. But
Stare at
definitely not the
Michael when you
worst
say
I've
that.
seen.
Stare at Bilth when you say that.
Bilth.
There were
I haven't
elements
even
I liked of that movie.
I haven't even seen The Flash, but I know I do not like it.
That is not true. You don't know what you're talking about.
I've seen clips
If
on
you
TikTok,
actually
and it
watch
looks like somebody smeared wet garbage on film.
Hey, stop. Do not become one of those media illiterate motherfuckers on social media. You are better
Tom
than
Cruise
that.
was right
And
a
if
little
you
bit,
watch
okay?
the full film, you would understand where the fucking spiritual influence comes in. It is a
right.
Looney Tunes inspired, Gremlin 2 inspired masterpiece, bro. It is a good vibe piece, and no one will ever convince me that it is not.
Okay, but when James Gunn goes on record and says this is the best superhero movie in 10 years, it's absolutely false, first of all. B, when Tom Cruise comes in it, and he got paid to say this, I'm sure, this is the movie we all need to watch right now, false. Does it have great elements in it? Absolutely. Is it good?
Is
It's
one of them
mid.
the VFX? No.
It's
No.
mid. It's mid at best.
The VFX
No, hey,
looks.
The VFX is
the FX
fail.
are terrible.
It's
fail.
like they rendered it using diarrhea.
No, it's I'm sure they were in their post production, and Ezra Miller was doing their shit, and they're like, do we really need to like push this through, guys? Can we just take a vacation?
Oh, it was just the fact that they were worked until they were dying, and then they just wanted to go home and get paid. That probably has a lot to do with it too.
One of their excuses was it was supposed to look like that.
Yeah, I know. I know. So, that just makes me want to bury my head into the sand and just.
What did the test audiences say?
Dude, they all came out saying it was amazing, but the test audiences did say that, oh, the film wasn't finished. Little did you know that was the finished product, and they totally told you they were gonna finish it and make it better. No, that was what they were gonna release in the movie theater. They totally lied to these test audiences. I'm telling you, they lied to them. With the VFX, they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna fix that, don't worry. CGI Nicolas Cage is gonna look way better. No.
Yeah, that spider's just a placeholder. It's gonna be like Brainiac or something. We haven't figured it out.
Oh my god.
Guys,
That was a very deliberate reference, and it was really funny. Like the failed screenplay of that film included the giant spider.
Yeah, I know.
Because the producer, and this is a really weird real life parallel. My father's name is John Peters, spelled the exact same way. There's a weird Hollywood producer. His name is John Peters, Jon, not Jhon. Jon.
You mean John?
No, literally.
Joan. Jahan.
John Peters.
Yeah, literally. So John Peters, like, literally spelled the normal way, like my father, which is fucking weird. In fact, my dad's gotten preferential treatment at hotels before because he has the same name as his producer. But this producer, his one thing was that there needed to be a giant spider. That Superman fought a giant spider. And that was his one screenplay suggestion, even though this dude was a hairdresser that became a producer.
Superman needs a great enemy. I think 2 legs are too few. He needs at least.
I'm just saying the
6 to
giant
8.
spider was a very deliberate joke because it was the only note that this executive gave
Octopus
for
or
who
spider.
Superman needs to fight in this particular film.
I feel
Guys,
like octopus, too much porn. Spider, just right.
Ahsoka.
By the way,
coming
same
out
guy
on
that
Tuesday.
produced 1989 Batman.
I take
All
issue.
right,
I don't
Sebastian's
want to.
gonna
I
blow his top.
don't want to talk about Ahsoka until I've seen it.
The initial reviews have come out, and everyone is saying it's amazing.
What did they say about the Flash?
I know, but I trust. You know why I trust Star Wars fans saying it's amazing? Because Star Wars fans are known to be the most toxic fans in any fan base. So the fact that they're coming out and saying it's good, I kind of trust it, because they will do anything to say something is bad in Star Wars. Let's be honest. Like
Also-
any little nitpicky thing.
Also, Dave Filoni
Also,
does a really
Dave
good job
Filoni.
with Star Wars.
Yes. And that's what I've been reading on Twitter all day today is Dave Filoni really coming into his own as a filmmaker, as a master in filmmaking. And what I'm seeing is the first 2 episodes that are coming out, it is a direct sequel to Rebels. Literally. Direct sequel to Rebels. And I am so excited about that.
Not a direct sequel. A
See,
sequel.
Yes.
I
Spiritual
resent
sequel.
what you just said about director and filmmaker, because, bro, this guy is a television motherfucker, and what he has made is a television show,
Yeah.
and it is a sequel to a television show that he
That's
made.
animated. But it's insane
exactly.
it's insane that he goes from that medium to this other medium, and in such a smooth sort of state apparently. So I'm so excited now to watch this.
Smooth operator.
I resent the corruption of the Star Wars franchise, of the television gene. I think that it has deeply affected what fucking Star Wars is supposed to be. And what we have seen as a result is a
I feel like the
weird
Star Wars shows have been
franchised
good.
mess.
Have you
The
not?
shows
wait,
have
wait.
been good.
Have you not watched all of Clone Wars? Bilf?
Okay, first of all, I have not watched all of Clone Wars, but I'm talking more specifically about the live-action
The-
television shows.
The live action
of
shows
which
have been good.
The Mandalorian?
Yeah. Andor?
What?
Andor?
Guys,
What?
Andor is a good show.
Okay.
Mandalorian is a good first season that
The
develops
first
into
season
what
he
the
was heavily
fuck.
involved in.
The Book of Boba Fett is
It's
like,
terrible.
what the
It's
fuck
god-awful.
is this?
I don't recommend that.
Obi-Wan Kenobi is
Is
like, dude,
only
you
one
basically
left.
made
But
a perfect.
Mando season
you made
2
a
is
perfect
cracked as
2-hour
well.
sequel.
Mando season
say-
2 is great as well. I
Season
enjoyed
Mando
one
season
is
2 is
perfect.
heavily flawed.
No, I disagree with you. I think season 3 is heavily flawed. Season 2 was
Okay,
great.
well, you agree that a portion of that show is heavily flawed.
There's only been
And
3 seasons. That's more than
It's been-
that's more than
it's
2
been-
of the show.
3.5.
It is.
It's 3.5.
It has been working
Three
towards
three halves.
what will make it worse
3.5.
rather than what will make it better. The fact that The Mandalorian was at its best in the first few episodes proves that point. It
Not
is
to me.
It is a unfortunate story engine in the Star Wars universe, to be completely honest. And everything that's come of it has been utter bullshit. And
But that's
What do you
Kathleen
mean?
Kennedy's
Because
fault.
For
you,
Ahsoka.
it's Kathleen Kennedy's fault, and B, you hate the fact that they go back to the original. They always refer back to the original plot line of like the Skywalkers. It's always coming. You hate that. I know you hate that, but that is.
I'll be excited to see the Skeleton Crew.
Skeleton Crew is going to be great. Acolyte is also going to be great. I'm excited for Acolyte.
What's
I want
Skeleton Crew?
Skeleton Crew is a show with the guy from that
It's got
show.
Jude Law in it.
Yeah, but it's also... Oh, no, the Acolyte is with the guy from the show with the games. What was it called?
So
Squid Game.
Okay,
Yeah.
that doesn't answer my question.
All right.
What are these projects that you're talking about? I've never-
Oh, Skeleton
So-
Crew is supposed to be just a show about, like, a crew that does, like,
Let me see
smuggling
what's
and that
released.
type of stuff.
Is
And then
this
the
Star
Acolyte...
Wars?
Star
Yeah.
Wars. And then the Acolyte is going to be a show about the war with the Jedi and the Sith before the Phantom Menace.
The High
In
Republic.
days-
Alright, so-
yeah, in the days of the High Republic.
I'm
And that's
excited.
and that's starring the guy from Squid Game.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and I'm excited for that.
But something important to remember is that the way that they produced these shows, especially under Dave Filoni, was infamously disrupted with Star Wars Andor, because they were doing it in a way that was very capsule-like and very factory fucking conveyor belt. And then the director of Andor changed the visual language of the entire Star Wars series And now they're trying to scramble to adapt, but every way that they filmed this show in the past has been this weird video game capsule. This Unreal Engine 4 volume shit does not work. It is not how George Lucas made the original trilogy.
I do think
and
that
it is
the
not
volume
how
now...
Andor, which is the most critically acclaimed Star Wars project in years, was filmed.
I do think
you
that
cannot
the
keep
volume...
doing this Unreal Engine shit.
I do think that the volume is bad now, and that they need to get rid of it because they are overusing the shit out of it. If you saw the new trailer that came out for Percy Jackson, came out today, it is just... Yeah, the new for the show, for Percy Jackson for the show. The trailer came out. And
I have not seen that.
it is just, you can tell immediately, it's just volume, the volume, the volume. They need to get rid of that machine. They need to get rid of it. It's just, they're being way too complacent with that thing. They need to get rid of it. I agree with you.
It is for video games.
Yeah.
It is for video games. Please.
Yeah.
Please don't use it for television
it just looks
and
so
film.
bad now. But that's the thing. It worked for Mando Season 1. That one season, it was great for Mando Season 1. And then they just started doing it, and now every show wants to use that thing now. In their backgrounds, for their backgrounds. Because
I mean, when it comes to
they don't want to
artists,
put it in post later, because it's a lot of work later to do that in post. They'd rather just have it for the, and then apparently it works a lot for the actors because it makes them feel like they're more in the environment as well, you know.
Right.
But
I mean, for the VFX artists, I could completely see it being sustainable, but for film and for the language and for the feeling of immersion, nah, man, we need things to be shot a different way. And I think that Andor getting critical acclaim when everything before it was mediocre, that very
Mando
much
is
says a
not
lot.
mediocre. Stop this right now.
Mando was only
Stop
extraordinary
this.
in its first
You
season.
cannot
and
sit
you
there
know it.
and tell me that Flash is good and then tell me Mando's mediocre.
Mando was not mediocre in its first season. Mando has an above average first season.
Mando has an
very good.
above average second season.
No, it doesn't.
That last
Mando has
episode
a
is one of the best Star Wars episodes I've ever seen.
I'm not saying it's not, but I'm saying the season in total is tonally confused to be the most polite. Like, it wants to focus on so many things. It wants to focus on everything. And I think that the Star Wars series that have come out since are actually a good reprieve because they have more singular focus.
You have
The
to do
Mandalorian
yourself a
is like,
favor
what the
and watch
fuck?
the
This is
Clone
a
Wars
weird
and Rebels. Watch Clone Wars and Rebels.
I would say those are a lot more focused, even though they cover a broad spectrum of like events.
But do yourself a favor,
right, so-
watch those two shows.
Everything I've seen about the Clone Wars is great. I've watched a fair amount of episodes and I really like it.
Have you
I'm
seen the
not
finale?
saying-
Have you seen
Rebels
the finale?
is a tighter narrative, I think.
Just
you'd like it
watch the last season of Clone Wars, please.
better. Last season of
please.
Clone Wars and Rebels. Rebels is tighter.
Rebels is
Okay.
definitely a more focused storyline.
You don't
I
even
will
need to
say.
watch all of the last season of Clone Wars. You just really need to watch the last 4 episodes.
Yeah.
These 4
Okay.
episodes literally play in real time
I would say they are the better. They're the Clone Wars 2 movie.
Yeah.
Like the animated movie number 2. But it's
the
way
fact
better.
that they interweave and
Way
play
better.
these 4 episodes play at the exact same time as Revenge of the Sith, and it's the best thing I've ever seen.
There have been fan edits of people editing in the scenes and making one giant 4-hour movie of of Revenge of the Sith
Order 66.
and editing in everything that goes on in the finale of Clone Wars into Revenge of the Sith, and it's I want to see that cut I want to see that fan cut so badly.
Same.
Well, considering how much I love episode 3, that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
You like episode 3?
If you like episode 3, you're going to love the last 4 episodes of the Clone Wars.
He doesn't like episode 3. He's fucking trolling you.
I'm not trolling you. I fucking love
We've had arguments about episode. You try to tell me that episode 3 is not good. You were one of the people
I did not say that. You said that there wasn't a cringy. You said that there was no cringy moment in episode 3.
Oh no,
and I said
100%
no.
there is cringy moments.
Yes.
I'm telling you that I've told you in the past that it is my favorite Star Wars film of all time. And then you come back to me. You and Amberly came after me. You and Amberly telling me why episode, and you were quoting that guy that you watched the videos that you watched about episode 3. I know you remember this. Yeah, where you
Mr.
were telling me
Plinkett?
why episode
I
3
do
is not a
remember.
good film or whatever.
Star
No,
Wars
no,
Episode 3 is the
I'm
worst
not
thing to
saying
happen
it's not a
since
good
Star
film.
Wars
It's-
Episode 2. What kind of intro is that? Well, shit. After all this, what were you expecting?
Okay, did you just do an impression of Mahler?
No, that's an impression of Mr. Plinkett.
Oh, thank God. That's the guy.
No,
Okay.
Mahler is definitely British.
And
I
you
hate
can't hate Revenge of the Sith anyways. We quote that movie more than anything, Michael. Bill, me and
I
you.
know.
It's the most quotable movie of all time.
Seabass, I need to tell you this right now. The memeability of a movie does not make the movie good. That does
I'm not
speak
saying
to
that
the
it's-
quality of the film.
Have you seen The Room?
I'm not saying I don't know.
It does
anything
not
about
speak
it.
to the quality of the
No,
film.
I'm not
just 'cause
saying.
you can.
Okay, I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying that for Bill to talk about that movie so much like he does, he cannot just sit there and say he dislikes that film. Because obviously, if he quotes it all the time and talks about it all the time, there's something about the film that he inherently likes.
Okay, Sebastian, the quote that I read from
Seabass,
Pauline
that's
Kael at the
Seabass. To you,
Sebastian.
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 Sebas.
Sebas, at the beginning of this, I told you specifically about a Pauline Kael quote that is,
I know.
if it's not, like, unless it's a masterpiece, we cannot be affected by it. That
Revenge of the Sith is a
applies-
masterpiece.
Exactly. That applies to Revenge of the Sith so hard because
does.
it is a flawed film, but it is also a masterpiece. I love it, and I do.
I
do
really
relate
need to use the
it
rest.
so
Okay,
hard.
Wait, before you go, I have to give an honorable mention to one of the best projects coming out of like a remade for video games remade for television, and it's Twisted Metal. If you haven't seen it, I recommend you watch it.
I wanna watch
It's
it.
so good.
Where can I watch
Mackie,
this? Where can I watch this?
mwah.
Peacock.
Peacock?
Peacock, or if because of the writer's strike,
Pirate it.
pirate it.
Yeah,
Pirate it.
iMovie.edu.
All right, I'm gonna go to the
You
bathroom.
didn't hear that here.
Admit me.
You guys keep on keeping on.
Revenge of the Sith has the best Anakin Skywalker character development I've ever seen.
You're wrong.
Condor. Wait, hold on. Let's just all wrap it up. We're about here. Let's just.
You're right. You're right.
Yeah,
we're right at 90
I'm gonna
minutes.
end it with that. I'm gonna end it with that.
You're gonna end it with that? Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
Does. It does. I will say, Clone Wars helps it, but
Return of the Jedi's arc for Anakin / Vader is way better than in Revenge of the Sith. Let me. When Luke.
I'm
and
talking
Vader
about his
are
arc.
on
I'm
the
talking about
forest-
his. I'm talking about his downfall, though, not his comeback.
All right, and with that, I'm Barney. That's Bill. That's Seabass, and that's Condor.
Wait, I've got 4 minutes left. I'm not done yet.
No.
That's
Yes,
not
you are.
where I am.
We're at 90 minutes on my timer, but Binky boy.
Hey,
Sorry.
if you guys want to leave and me and Seabass conclude this episode, then that's fine by me.
Yeah, I have to pee as well.
I will
Alright, yeah,
conclude
get outta
Revenge
here.
of the Sith with my man here.
Oh my God, I've been drinking so much water.
You know what? I suggest next week. So we did Spider-Man rankings. I suggest next week we do our Star Wars rankings.
You guys are not ready. You guys are not ready.
The only way
What are
for
we
that
including?
to possibly, the only way for that to happen is for us to watch them together. Honestly, we have to.
I'm
watch
already
them
watching
together.
them right now with Lauren. I'm not gonna rewatch them again.
Watch them
with you
again.
guys.
I guess you'll have to rewatch them again.
I am for this
mean-
ranking. I'm including everything that's canon. So I'm gonna be
The whole-
prepped and
okay.
ready for this.
The whole
Everything.
Star Wars canon. Okay.
The whole Star Wars canon. I am including this.
Including the Resistance animated show.
Absolutely.
Oh,
I'm
no.
doing it all. I'm doing it all.
I don't want to watch that.
Even
That's
the
icky.
the game
Sebastian,
show,
I can't
the
watch
game
that in a
show
single
that
week.
Ahmed Best hosts. I'm even doing that.
Ahmed Best, that
I'm
game show
ranking
is not
everything.
canon. That character is canon, but
The
that
character
game show,
though is the character
yeah,
though
but
is
the game
yeah.
show is not canon, so you shouldn't include it in your list.
Watch all of that.
Huh? No, but in all honesty, everything that's canon, except I will make honorable mentions for the novelizations, but that would take too long if I do the novelizations as well. But I will do everything that's like a screen medium, so video game, television show, or film.
I
That
agree,
doesn't-
and I would also like to include theme park attraction.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
God.
agree with that. I agree because we have to talk about that hotel. That hotel is canon.
So
Yeah.
TV,
That hotel that went out of business after like
TV,
3 months.
film, game, and ride.
Because who was about
Yes.
to pay $5,000 for 3 days?
No
A
one.
lot of medium.
No one.
It's a
What
lot.
was that called? What was that hotel called in? Star Cruiser? Starlight? What was it called?
The Star Cruiser, yeah.
Starlight Cruiser.
Yeah, whatever it was called, yeah. That was crazy. I want to talk about that whole thing as well. How that came to fruition and how it bombed. And how it just died.
I
would lo-
worked
well-
at Disney. Okay, we can edit this out. I worked at Disney World when that project was initially casting, and I knew a lot of initial cast members of it.
Oh, that'd be interesting. I'd be really interested to hear you talk about it then. Okay, cool. Next
Yeah,
week,
the script,
viewers,
the script
Star Wars
changed
rankings.
substantially.
Star Wars rankings. I'm the Omega Condor. That's Seabass. That's Bilth. That's Barney. And we are out. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.
Hey, bye-bye.